For those of you who are long-time subscribers, I'd like to cast your mind back to May the 10th to be precise, 2016. I made this video, and the title of the video was Deontay Wilder hits harder than Vladimir Klitschko. I also made a video earlier on this year, which is related, and the title of that video was Deontay Wilder hits harder than Vladimir Klitschko. I'll move up to heavyweight Murat Gassiev, quoting him. Now, in both instances and in both videos, I'm quoting Murat Gassiev because Gassiev has sparred Deontay Wilder on several occasions. And Gassiev, on several occasions, said Wilder hits harder than Klitschko. I've also read interviews with other fighters, for example, like Jamil McCline, who was a former heavyweight contender. And Jamil McCline also said that Deontay Wilder is the hardest puncher he's ever been in the ring with. Now, Jamil McCline never fought Wilder in a professional fight, but he sparred him. And he said even with 16 or 18-ounce gloves on, Deontay Wilder hit harder than anyone he's been in the ring with. And people, Jamil McCline was a Lennox Lewis sparring partner for many years. Jamil McCline was in the ring with Vladimir Klitschko and many other fighters over the years. Jamil McCline was in the ring with Sam Peter, who's a guy that can punch. And he said, out of all the people he'd been in the ring with over many, many years, nobody hit harder than Wilder. So now we have, and there are many other people, by the way, who have said similar things about Deontay Wilder, that his power is just on the next level. And then we have a former sparring partner of Deontay Wilder, Richard Towers, who many of you who are from the UK may be familiar with. He's now retired, Richard Towers. I believe he's training fighters now rather than fighting himself. Richard Towers is a very big man, about 6'8". Didn't really get very far in the pro ranks. Got knocked out by Lucas Brown in a pretty brutal loss. But nonetheless, he has now come out and said the same thing, that Deontay Wilder not only hits harder than Klitschko, but also hits harder than Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Vitaly Klitschko as well. So let me give you the exact quote. He said, "I've sparred with every heavyweight you could think of, except Joseph Parker. And I know when it comes to power, Deontay Wilder is in a league of his own. Put it this way, he hits 4 times harder than Vitaly Klitschko. He hits 5 times harder than Vladimir Klitschko. He hits 6 times harder than Anthony Joshua. And he hits 8 times harder than Tyson Fury." He goes on to say, "We sparred on and off for 2 years and he was great. But I have to be honest, this is the wrong fight to take right now." Now, sorry, at this point, he's talking about Tyson Fury. All right, let me get this quote right. At this point, Richard Towers is talking about Tyson Fury. So he says, "We sparred on and off for 2 years and he was great. But I have to be honest, this is the wrong fight to take right now. It really is. Tyson has just come back on the scene, and although he is a grafter, this isn't the ideal time for him to fight Wilder. He is moving okay against easy opposition, but he has got a big body and a big head to move out of the way for 12 rounds against Wilder. That's no easy task." So what do I think about what Richard Towers has said here? Well, I think he's exaggerating, certainly, when he's talking about 4 times harder than Klitschko, 5 times harder than, four times harder than Vitaly, 5 times harder than Vlad, 6 times harder than Joshua, 8 times harder. That's hype talk. Now, why would he be coming with hype talk? Well, you may not be aware that Richard Towers has not only sparred Deontay Wilder, Richard Towers is actually very good friends with Deontay Wilder. They're close friends. Deontay and Richard Towers have called each other my brother from another mother. They're close like that. Whenever Deontay Wilder's in the UK, he always goes to check for Richard Towers. They're actually like good friends. It's not just a professional thing, they're actually friends. So because of their friendship, I think that's why Richard Towers is putting some hype on it. Now, does Deontay Wilder hit harder than all of these fighters? Personally, I think the only person who it's debatable whether Deontay Wilder hits harder than them, in my opinion, is Vladimir Klitschko. And this is why you can tell this is hype talk, because he's basically saying that Vitaly hits harder than Vladimir, which is the opposite of what most mutual opponents of Vladimir and Vitaly say. Most mutual opponents of Vladimir and Vitaly say Vladimir hits much harder than Vitaly Klitschko. Even though Vitaly had this higher knockout ratio isn't necessarily indicative of who hits harder, but Vitaly used to throw a lot more punches and he was more aggressive, hence why he was able to get people out of there. But in terms of one-punch knockouts and one-punch knockdowns, Vladimir ruled away. He had more one-punch power. So that right there shows you that there's a bit of hype talk going on here. It's not him being completely serious. So, but even still, the one name on there which you could potentially contest as whether or not Wilder hits harder than them is Klitschko. But all the others, Vladimir Klitschko, but all the others, you could say, yeah. I mean, for me personally, I would say Wilder hits harder than Vitaly. I would say he hits harder than Joshua. And I would definitely say he hits harder than Tyson Fury too. And maybe he does hit harder than Vladimir Klitschko when it comes to the straight right hand. He doesn't have Vladimir Klitschko's left hook. That has to be said. Klitschko's left hook is definitely stronger than Wilder's hook. But the straight right hand, maybe Wilder does hit harder with the straight right hand. Wilder is a tremendous puncher, and I've been saying this for a long time. I've still seen some people online who say they're not convinced by Deontay Wilder's power. I'm very convinced. I've been very convinced by Deontay Wilder's power for years. It's for real. I saw an interview recently where Evander Holyfield was asked about Deontay Wilder's power. And look, Holyfield knows about people who can punch. He was in there with George Foreman. He was in there with Mike Tyson. He was in there with Lennox Lewis. He was in there with Riddick Bowe. He was in there with Burt Cooper. He was in there with X amount of big punching heavyweights over the years. He sparred David Tua. Okay, so Evander Holyfield knows about big punches, and he was asked about Deontay Wilder and about whether his power was for real and whether his power is up there with the likes of the guys that Holyfield had fought. And Holyfield said, well, look, Wilder hit a guy on the forehead and dropped him and hurt him bad. And he's talking about Ortiz here. He's like, listen, if normally when you hurt a guy, it's when you hit him on the chin or you hit him on the temple. This guy hit someone on the forehead and their legs went and dropped them. That's when you know the guy's hitting hard. When he can hit you on the hardest part of your body and still have your legs doing a dance. And I'm telling you, Deontay Wilder only needs to hit you clean once and he's got you in trouble, or he's dropped you, or he's knocked you out cold in the case with Artur Spilka. So I don't doubt his power for a second. Not at all. People say he hasn't fought at the highest level. He hasn't, but he's fought at the level below the highest level. And his punching power is still tremendous. And once again, I've said this before, just because a guy is at the very elite level, it don't mean his chin is going to be better than the guys who are at lower levels necessarily. The best chins in the heavyweight division right now, well, one of them is Marius Wack. Is Marius Wack one of the elite heavyweights? No. Not at all. So you might have to go through a guy like Marius Wack, like Jarrell Miller has, and you're not going to find somebody with a better chin than that at the elite level. You see what I'm saying? So just because you haven't necessarily knocked out an elite level guy yet, it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean that you have to in order to prove that your punching power is for real. At the elite level, it's not so much the punch resistance of the fighters which you have to worry about. It's more the skill level of the fighters that you have to worry about. This is why it's more difficult to knock out elite guys. Some of them have good chins, sure. But more than having good chins, generally speaking at the elite level, their chins are harder to get to. Rather than them just having elite chins. Because a lot of the top guys at elite level, they don't have elite chins. I wouldn't say Anthony Joshua has got an elite chin. David Haye, did he have an elite chin when he was one of the top heavyweights? No. Vladimir Klitschko, does he have an elite chin? No. There were guys below Klitschko in the rankings who had better chins than him. Sam Peter had a better chin than Vladimir Klitschko. Certainly for most of Peter's career before his punch resistance started waning towards the end. You know? I could go on. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I've got a history of believing in Deontay Wilder's punching power. Going way, way back. This was 2016. And even before then, I was saying that Deontay Wilder's punching power is for real. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.